I have a couple of questions for you. Here's the first question. If I'm asking you to take the square root from x plus 1, what operator is this? What am I really asking you to do to x plus 1? So this is the operator called, and what does it do to x plus 1?
To the 1/2 power?
Yes, so it's the square root and takes the square root of x plus 1. Excellent. What about ln of x minus 3? What operator is this? This is the operator applied this time to x minus 3. What are we asked to do? What does it mean? What is this operator?
The natural log?
It's German. It's log natural, but of course, natural log for us. Excellent. What about this? What operator is this? What does this operator do to x plus 2?
Cube.
Good. What? One more. What is this operator? What does this operator do to x minus 3? It divides 1 by that. Yes, division. Okay, now I want to add another operator that we have never discussed before. You may have seen it, but these are very clear. These come from algebra and pre-calculus. But now we're going to talk about this operator. One more quick question. If I want to ask you what is f of 3, what operator is this? It's called evaluate. Evaluate the function at 3. Okay, now I want to talk about this operator. I'm going to write it the way we read it first. And this is an operator. This operator is applied to the function. And I'll explain in a moment what it means. But first I'm going to write how we read it. The limit of f of x as x approaches a from either side. I know it's a long sentence. The limit of f of x as x approaches a from either side. We don't know what this means yet, but the operator, this operator, is the trend. It tells us, or it's asking us to find the trend of this function, or the limit, the trend of this function as x approaches this number from either side simultaneously. We'll talk about it. I'll give you examples, plenty of examples in a minute. But I want us again to analyze all this. They are all different. This one says take the square root. This one says apply natural log. This one says cube. This one says divide by x minus 3. This one says evaluate at 3. This one says where is this function going? What is the trend when x approaches a from either side? Okay, so now I would like us to look at a few examples. of graphs. So I'm going to show you a few graphs of functions, of course. And we'll discuss each and every one of them. So case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4. I may add case 5. Okay, so here's the first function. I'm making up numbers here. For case number 1, I'm going to ask you this. As x approaches 5 from either side, I want you to tell me what is the trend of this function. Where is the function going? What value or values is it approaching?
6.
Thank you very much. We will write limit of f of x as x approaches 5 from either side equals 6. The limit exists since it is a number. Also, we have something called the limit of f of x as x approaches 5 with plus as a power, and limit of f of x as x approaches 5 with minus as a power. The one with the plus as a power means coming from values larger than 5. The one with a power as minus x is coming from values of x, or x values are coming from the left hand side of 5 with values lower than 5. In both cases, you're going to say 6, because as x approaches 5 from the right, the function values approach 6. As x approaches 5 from the left, the function values still approach 6. So both sides are the same. That's why the limit from either side is also 6. Any questions on this example? Okay, so let's look at example number 2. I don't really like the way this camera is. Okay, I'll make other adjustments, I'm sure, later. Case number 2. The limit from the left of 5 is?
Is that a 4?
Excellent. The limit from the right?
Would that be on 6?
Very good. And now I'm going to ask you, what is the limit as x approaches 5 from either side of f of x? If they're not the same, what can I write?
Undefined?
We have a different notation for this, or the different acronym for that. DNE. It does not exist. As long as they are different numbers, the limit from either side does not exist. The limit from the left exists, is 4. The limit from the right exists, is 6. But the limit from either side, simultaneously, the function does not approach a number. So therefore, the limit from either side does not exist. Any questions? Any questions so far? Right here, I'm going to ask you something. How much is f of 5? Can anyone tell us f of 5 for this function?
That's like 4.
Very good. Awesome. Question. A question here. Is there any connection between the limit and the function value? Can the limit exist without the function value? So always remember, please, that's specifically why I put it separate. They're not the same. They're totally different operators. This one says evaluate at 3. This one says find the trend. They're not the same. So in this particular case, the limit doesn't exist. The function value exists. Here's my third option here. For case number 3, what is the limit of f of x as x approaches 5 from either side? Yes, absolutely. And now I'm going to ask you, what is f of 5 for case number 3?
Undefined.
Excellent. This is what we call undefined. I could have presented a point here. Then you would have said something else. F of 5 is 10. But notice one thing. The limit exists even if the function is undefined there, because these are two different operators, two different concepts. This one does not say find the function value at 5. No. This one says tell me what is the trend, where is the function going, not attaining, going to, towards, not attaining, going towards when x approaches 5. And you will say the function is approaching 3 when x approaches 5, which has nothing to do with the function value at that point. Okay, finally, case 4. So for case 4, limit as x approaches 3 from the left, and limit as x approaches 3 from the right, and limit as x approaches 3 from either side. So let's take a look. From the left, as x approaches 3 from the left, the function values get closer and closer, closer and closer to what?
Three.
One more time.
3.
One more time. When x approaches 3 from the left, the function values get closer and closer, closer and closer.
Infinity.
Exactly. Awesome.
Does that mean that the x equals 3 is the asymptote?
Yes. X equals 3. Vertical. Asymptote. Perfect. What about the other side? As x approaches 3 from the right, the function values get closer and closer, closer and closer, closer and closer to
Negative infinity.
Very good. What about from either side?
From infinity to infinity to negative infinity.
This
Would it
limit,
not exist?
exactly.
it's not a
This,
number?
the limit, of course, none of them exist because they're not numbers. But this number, or whatever you write here, has to come from these. If they're not the same, you cannot write anything but D and E. They're not the same. So you have to write D and E. The limit does not exist. How do we feel so far about the limits from graphs?
So, question, if they were the same, like say they were both positive infinity, but since they're not a number, would,
You cannot
I
write
mean,
D
I guess,
and E.
like, how does
Yes.
infinity categorize there?
This is D and E, this is D and E, but you cannot write D and E. You have to write infinity and you have to write negative infinity. Very good question. If both sides, I'm on page 6. So if both sides go to a negative infinity, it's still D and E, but you cannot write D and E. So limit as x approaches 3 from either side of f of x equals negative infinity. It's still D and E, but we cannot write D and E. We have to write negative infinity. Any questions? So
Yes, Professor, why did you write negative infinity instead of D and E? Would you mind just explaining that again, please?
you mean here?
Yes, for the very last one, where x is approaching 3, you have... Oh, I'm sorry. No, just forget that question. I just got them mixed up. Thank
Okay,
you.
no worries, no worries. Other questions? So what I was
So,
going,
could you go back to the other page really
Yes.
quick?
yes. So no, notice one
So
more.
you
Notice
are, it might be the number before that, the page before that. Oh no, never mind, it's right there. My screen's blurry. So it says the limit exists since it is a number. Is it because it's a number or because the number matches?
so. This limit exists because it's a number. Furthermore, it's 6 because both sides are equal.
Okay.
Because see, I could have had infinity, 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 but the limit does not exist because it's not a number.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. So please remember, the limit exists if both sides approach the same number. The limit from either side exists if and only if both sides approach the same. Okay, I'd like us to, at this point, go to 2.2. And I hope I'm not, again, logged out. So, again, stop me if you have any questions. I would like us to look at a few graphs.